Hello, it's Monday, July 29th. My name is Katarzyna Wierbol and welcome to Against the Tide News. Oliver Stone, Putin's tool for anti-Ukrainian and anti-Polish propaganda. Kremlin has published an interview with Vladimir Putin conducted back in June by American film director Oliver Stone. Some of the material from the interview was used in Stone's documentary about Ukraine. During the interview, Putin stated that Russians and Ukrainians are one nation. I believe that Russians and Ukrainians are one people, one nation, in fact, Putin said. When these lands that are now the core of Ukraine joined Russia, there were just 3 regions. Nobody thought themselves to be anything but Russians because it was all based on religious affiliations. They were all Orthodox and they considered themselves Russians. They did not want to be part of the Catholic world where Poland was dragging them. Let's not forget that Putin attacked Ukraine back in 2014. Russia took away part of Ukraine's territory by annexing Crimea. Russia continues to occupy other Ukrainian territories, waging the war in Donbass. There has been over 10,000 civilian casualties as a result of the conflict. Pastor Paweł Chojecki, editor-in-chief of Against the Tide TV, explains what aims Putin has.
Czyli mamy po pierwsze cerkiew moskiewską jako narzędzie w odróżnieniu od cerkwi prawosławnej konstantynopolskiej, bo to jest polityczny twór komunistyczny, ta cerkiew współczesna moskiewska, czyli to jest jedno narzędzie zdobywania imperialistycznych wpływów. Drugie to panslawizm, właśnie to, że tu jak tylko jakieś wspólne korzenie słowiańskie, no to znaczy, że to są rosyjskie. Nie można powiedzieć, że to są jakieś polskie, czy południowo-słowiańskie, czy zachodnio. Tak, to już są wszystko Rosjanie, bo Słowianie. Nie? To taki nurt w XIX wieku był też mocno propagowany właśnie jako antidotum na ruchy narodowe, narodowo-wyzwoleńcze, które wtedy w tak zwanej wiośnie ludów tutaj się mocno ujawniały na terenie Europy Wschodniej i Środkowo-Wschodniej. No to właśnie odpowiedzią był panslawizm, czyli że wszyscy Słowianie powinni być razem. Trzecia obserwacja, no to Oliver Stone. Widać, że to oskarżenie Hollywood o lewackie komunistyczne skłonności jest jak najbardziej prawdziwe. To on upowszechnia te brednie Putina. No i trzeci...
On je użył do filmu, który jest, można powiedzieć, taki de facto antyukraiński.
Dlatego mówię, że to jest nie tylko wywiad, nie tylko jakiś prąd intelektualny, ale to będzie propaganda filmowa, bo tym się Hollywood przecież zajmuje, filmem. I czwarty punkt, rola Polski. Nie? Putin od razu pokazał, że Polska jest szkodliwym tworem, jeśli chodzi o możliwości rozwoju tego imperium sowieckiego. Pokrywa to się z doktryną Dugina, który mówi, że w tym zbliżeniu Berlina i Moskwy nie ma miejsca dla Polski. Tutaj w tej wypowiedzi Putina jeszcze to nie jest pokazane, że trzeba Polskę zlikwidować, no ale wiecie, jeśli ktoś przeszkadza, no to trzeba go przynajmniej jakoś zneutralizować, a najlepiej zlikwidować. Dlatego oczekuję od polskiego Ministerstwa Spraw Zagranicznych stanowczej reakcji przeciwko tej ruskiej imperialistycznej propagandzie.
Polish Prime Minister admits that the ruling party is socialist. During a meeting with voters in Siemianowice Śląskie, Polish Prime Minister Mateusz Morawiecki stated that the socialist thought is important for the ruling party Law and Justice. The Prime Minister said that there are different views in the Polish society and that the leftists are needed in a society. He also said, "Some have more leftist views, others more right-wing views. We need everyone, because even in this left-wing tradition, social sensitivity grew there, which is much needed for social justice. Solidarity is the inheritor of the Christian brotherly love, but also of the working socialist thought." While Law and Justice claims to be a conservative party, Morawiecki says that this working socialist idea is deeply present in the philosophy of the Law and Justice Party. Justin Haskins, editorial director at the Heartland Institute and author of the book Socialism is Evil, The Moral Case Against Marx's Radical Dream, explained the combination of Christianity and socialism.
More than 167 million people have been murdered, exiled, or imprisoned by socialist and communist parties in just the past 100 years. And I think that's something that we often miss. So often, people like myself, when we talk about socialism, we talk about the dangers of socialism, we like to talk about economics, right? We talk about GDP growth, unemployment rates. We talk about debt and inflation. We talk about people starving in Venezuela so that they kill zoo animals. That's the sort of thing we like to talk about. But what doesn't get nearly enough attention is that even if socialism worked the way Comrade Bernie Sanders and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez said that it would, even if it worked and created these perfect little utopian societies, it would still be extremely immoral. Because in socialism, even well-functioning socialism, which by the way doesn't exist anywhere in the world, one of the most, you never have real religious freedom or freedom of conscience. Never. It's never happened. Minorities are always subjected to the will of the ruling class. So for example, in a democratic socialist society, one that has, say, single-payer health care, which every Democratic Party presidential candidate right now is calling for, if they were to decide that they want abortion or contraception or free birth control pills or physician-assisted suicide or any number of other things, everyone has to pay for it. Everyone, even those people who believe it's against their religious and moral beliefs.
Some may say that Jesus was a socialist, therefore that Christianity and socialism do in fact go together. Prater University gives an explanation regarding that matter.
To get an accurate answer to our question, we need to define socialism. Socialism is the concentration of power into the hands of government elites to achieve the following purposes: central planning of the economy and the radical redistribution of wealth. Jesus never called for any of that. Nowhere in the New Testament does he advocate for the government to punish the rich or even to use tax money to help the poor. Nor does he promote the ideas of state ownership of businesses or central planning of the economy.
Russian and Chinese bombers over South Korean border. On July 23rd, South Korea's defense ministry informed that Russian and Chinese planes have entered the country's airspace. According to the South Korean defense minister, 3 Russian planes as well as 2 Chinese planes entered the Korea Air Defense Identification Zone. The A-50 aircraft violated South Korean airspace over the Dokdo Takeshima area, a small group of islands controlled by South Korea but claimed by Japan. Russia is not part of this dispute. The aircraft, which violated the South Korean airspace twice, was met with warning shots from South Korean fighter jets. According to Moscow, the Russian and Chinese warplanes were flying in a joint operation. The Russian Defense Ministry explained the situation. The joint patrol was carried out with the aim of deepening Russian-Chinese relations with our all-encompassing partnership, of further increasing cooperation between our armed forces, and of perfecting their capabilities to carry out joint actions, and of strengthening global strategic security. South Korea and Japan both accuse Russia and China of violating their airspaces. Moscow and Beijing both denied this allegation. The Pentagon made it clear it opposes Russia's and China's actions. Lieutenant Colonel Dave Eastburn, Pentagon spokesman, said, "The United States strongly supports our Republic of Korea and Japanese allies and their responses to airspace incursions by Chinese and Russian aircraft." The Butcher of Beijing dies at age 90. The former Prime Minister of Beijing, Li Peng, died on July 22nd. He was the Prime Minister of China between 1987 and 1998. On May 20th, 1989, he declared martial law over parts of Beijing in connection with the peaceful pro-democracy protests in which thousands of students took part. 2 weeks later, on June 4th, 1989, Li Peng issued an order to send troops to the Tiananmen Square, where protests of about 1 million young people took place. His role in the Tiananmen Square massacre earned him the nickname of the Butcher of Beijing. In 2017, British intelligence reported that on that day, at least 10,000 people have been killed by soldiers and tanks. Wu Kashi, one of the protest leaders currently living in exile, said in an interview with the BBC, "Li Peng was the butcher of the 4th June massacre, and that's how he should be remembered by the world and by history, hopefully one day by the textbook of China." Li Peng's family still occupies leading positions in communist China. His son, Li Xiaopeng, is the Minister of Transport, and his daughter, Li Xiaolin, is the Vice President of the China Datang Corporation, a state-owned power generation enterprise. Han Na Shen, our Taiwan correspondent, writes, The same scumbags still decide the fate of millions of Chinese people. And let's not forget that Tiananmen massacre is still a forbidden topic in the land of Chinese dream. China Defense Ministry, we are ready to fight for Taiwan. Opposing Taiwan's independence is one of the top priorities of the Chinese army, according to the white paper on national defense published on July 24th. Wu Qian, the spokesman for the ministry, said that China is ready for war if anyone tries to tear Taiwan away from its territory. The white paper accuses the United States of increasing military spendings and selling arms to Taiwan, damaging the global strategic stability. Taiwan's independence forces have been identified as the greatest threat to peace and stability in the Taiwan Strait. At a press conference devoted to the document, which is published once every few years, Wu assured that China will do its best for a peaceful reunification with Taiwan. The spokesman added, "We must firmly point out that seeking Taiwan independence is a dead end. If there are people who dare to try to split Taiwan from the country, China's military will be ready to go to war to firmly safeguard national sovereignty, unity, and territorial integrity," said Wu. In July, the Pentagon reported that the U.S. State Department has agreed to sell $2.2 billion worth of arms to Taiwan, including tanks and anti-aircraft missiles. This triggered an angry reaction from Beijing, and the Chinese Foreign Ministry announced sanctions against U.S. companies involved in this transaction. Persecution of Christians intensifies after Vatican China agreement. Cardinal Joseph Zen from Hong Kong said in an interview for the Church Militant that the persecution of Catholics in China has intensified since the Vatican China agreement was reached back in 2018. The Cardinal described the situation Catholics face in communist China. Many things have happened because of that secret agreement. The situation is pretty much worse. Before there was an agreement, there was a kind of compromise on many points. For example, the underground church could have their church buildings, and the underground priests, even in the cities, could say masses for the faithful, even though the law is against that. But the authorities for a long time never enforced those laws. Now they enforce those laws. So it is a much harsher persecution after the agreement. It is terrible. The persecution of Christians in China is on the rise. Open Doors, a non-denominational mission supporting persecuted Christians, called Asia the new hotbed of persecution for Christians. It estimates that 1 in 3 Christians in Asia lives under high persecution. And that's it for today. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.